You must choose, but choose wisely. How you doing, guys? Professor EDC with another BLADE-OSOPHY Sunday. And have you ever thought about the steel composition? But not only that, the human composition. In the old day, swords, knives were done to a warrior, to the specifications of that warrior, or to what the smith would think appropriate for that warrior, and characteristics of that person. And well, kind of got me thinking about steels. And the different characteristics of these steels. Of course, there's a lot to talk about: geometry and heat treatment and whatnot. But basically, we are very similar to steels. Our composition, right? Iron, carbon. The case of steels, chromium, tungsten, vanadium, cobalt, manganese. In a lot of cases, same elements that we are made of. But each and every one of us is different. Isn't that true? And so, which that brings us to the question, which steel is better? Which, how would a blacksmith do, or a mastersmith back in those days, do a sword for, I don't know, Arthur or Lancelot, or the blacksmith that prepared a sword, for a katana for Miyamoto Musashi, for example, or what was his name, Sasaki Kojiro, or so many steels, so many different capacities. And if we talk about, for example, edge retention, right? Let's go back to S90V. We may talk about some qualities, right? And let's translate those qualities into human qualities. How about tenacity? And these qualities may repeat themselves in other categories. Firmness, perseverance, persistence, endurance. Now, aren't those qualities inherently important, not only in steels, but, that's right, as a person? Or what about corrosion resistance? Magna Cut, right there, Magna Cut. And what if we translate those into human characteristics? Impermeability, balance, centeredness, as of being centered, not self-centered, but centered. Being confident, Why? Because when we talk about corrosion resistance, when we talk about impermeability, there are different steels, right? But at the same time, there are different steels for different roles. And while we may debate about which is better in steels, we may not debate about which is better in people. We may not debate if one nationality is better than the other. We are just different. So being confident, self-knowledge. A steel, high carbon steel is not the same as a high corrosion resistant steel, right? But to each their own, and each serve differently. And both of them are good. But we have to talk about the surroundings. We have to talk about the use. We have to talk about different things. So as a person, we need to know ourselves in order to interact in those scenarios, in those different scenarios. And that's of course that's a difference when we talk about a steel than when we talk about a person being balanced, right? What about toughness? What about toughness? One of my favorite steels. K390. Yep, change the handles. And what about if we talk about changing those characteristics for when we talk about people? Resilience, again, tenacity, strength, adaptability. Aren't these all important for different situations? Now, if we talk about steels for our knives, maybe we can take a look at our knives, at our steels, and use them as mirrors and see what they can tell about us, about what we lack or what we have. Perhaps I don't need high corrosion resistance, but I need higher resistance, higher toughness. Or perhaps I just prefer that. Of course, each and every one of those is going to carry a different responsibility. Perhaps rather simple but very balanced steel like Sandvik 14C28N with a lot of the best of both worlds, of the three worlds, or AEBL. And of course, it also depends on the type of knife I'm going to use that steel for. It's not the same as slip joint, then a folder, then a full tang knife. How about Elmax? One of my all-time favorite steels. Of course, each and every one of them needs to be heat treated properly. How about 154 cm? I always get confused with that one. 154 cm or CPM 154. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about just by looking at this folder. Custom knife makers still use this steel, and it's a great steel. So, which steel is better? So, what can steel tell us about ourselves? Just in my case, I tend to look, it's like this search for Excalibur. Focus. And that path of forging my own personality, forging my qualities, and even when we talk about steel, something as strong, something as solid as steel, steel has evolved. So can we. So can our personalities and our ways of being in this world. So if steel can evolve, so can we. For the better of our lives and the lives of those around us, I think. Let me know what you guys think, and if you come up with more similarities. Hope to hear from you, to read from you, and hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Professor EDC out.